The gray skies above Toretsk bore silent witness as the sharp eyes of the BlackHawk aerial reconnaissance unit of the 100th Mechanized Brigade once again demonstrated their dominance. From a height, silently and mercilessly, the unmanned aerial vehicle locked onto every enemy movement attempting to penetrate the open terrain. The footage began with a Russian pickup truck briefly stopping on a clearing, 2 Russian infantrymen jumping out, before they could form a formation and seek cover. Within seconds, the BlackHawk drone had locked onto them, and an explosion struck directly at the troops' disembarkation point, a lightning strike that cut off lives before the battle could even begin. The infiltration attempt collapsing instantly. Not far away, a motorcycle sped by, attempting to use speed as a last resort. But in the open terrain of Toretsk, speed meant nothing when the skies were already occupied. The surveillance drone followed his every maneuver with a cold stare. A single explosion halted the motorcycle's progress. The strike perfectly accurate. The motorcyclist was knocked down, his vehicle destroyed, ending their futile escape under Ukrainian aerial surveillance. The BlackHawk operator also pursued an enemy vehicle that had just arrived, but shortly after, he drone-struck the vehicle's front in a flash. But 2 enemy infantrymen who attempted to evade it were killed. The threat wasn't over yet. A Russian minibus appeared on the same route, crossing the open area without cover, seemingly ignoring the danger lurking in the air. For the BlackHawk operator, this target was simply a continuation of the mission. The hunt began, and the clock counted. The operator aimed the drone at the driver's side, and before long, the drone struck the minibus driver. The subsequent explosion shook the terrain, destroying the minibus mid-track, completely halting enemy advance, severing supply lines, and asserting the Ukrainian armed forces' complete dominance in the air. This operation once again demonstrated how, in a series of swift and precise strikes, BlackHawk aerial reconnaissance proved its role as the silent executioner in the skies over Toretsk. Without direct contact, without warning, every attempt by Russian forces to advance was crushed before it could become a real threat. Open terrain became a deadly trap, with any vehicle moving without cover and any troops caught off guard becoming an instant target. In Toretsk, the message was reiterated. Anyone moving without cover would be hunted down and destroyed from the air, and the sky no longer belonged to anyone. It was now Ukraine's weapon. Currently, Ukraine's army has reportedly wiped out over 100 Russian soldiers in a single day, as Putin's forces continue their push for Pokrovsk. The Donbas city has come under intense attacks as the Kremlin desperately tries to seize full control of the urban settlement. Known as the gateway to Donetsk, the besieged city is a key transport and logistics hub on Ukraine's eastern front line. Putin's forces have been trying for over 20 months to break the will of its stubborn defenders. Russian commanders have amassed a force of around 155,000 troops in the Pokrovsk sector. Ukraine's high command has rushed in reinforcements, including special force units, to the city to help in its defense. Kyiv's army reportedly repelled 58 Russian attacks towards Pokrovsk on Monday, inflicting heavy casualties. Army commanders from the Eastern Group say 136 Russians were killed in the failed assaults. Ukraine's military claims to still control the northern part of Pokrovsk, with troops carrying out search and assault operations to hunt down Russian soldiers. Fierce fighting continues to rage in the city, and the situation remains very fluid. Ukrainian units are also holding their defensive lines near Mirnohrad in Donetsk region and destroying Russian forces attempting to approach the city. The Institute for the Study of War reported that geolocated footage published on December 22nd indicates that Ukrainian forces recently advanced along the E50 Pokrovsk-Pavlograd highway northwest of Pokrovsk. The think tank marks most of Mirnograd and Pokrovsk as a gray zone, a no man's land without permanent control by either side. Meanwhile, Ukraine's General Staff said on Tuesday it had withdrawn its troops for the eastern town of Siversk. The capture of Siversk brings Russia closer to the last remaining fortress belt cities of Slovyansk and Kramatorsk, still in Ukrainian hands in the industrial Donetsk region. Now, Russia has likely suffered more than 400,000 military casualties in each of the past 2 years, as its forces continue costly assaults on the Ukrainian front line, the UK Ministry of Defense has said. The assessment comes as the conflict approaches its 4th anniversary on February 24, 2026, with total Russian casualties since the invasion began now almost certainly exceeding 1 million. In its latest Defense Intelligence Update published today, the MOD stated, although Russia has consistently suffered high losses since the start of its illegal, full-scale invasion of Ukraine in 2022, including likely over 400,000 killed and wounded in both 2025 and 2024, urban ethnic Russians continue to make up a disproportionately small share of service members and, consequently, casualties compared to the rest of the population. The MOD highlighted a deliberate recruitment strategy that shields politically influential groups. By focusing recruitment disproportionately in poorer regions, often predominantly inhabited by ethnic minorities, the Russian state apparatus better leverages financial incentives while limiting the impact on urban parts of the Russian population that have higher political activity. The update also cited independent Russian media reporting on the detachment of the country's elite. It stated, according to the independent Russian media outlet Projekt, less than 1% of Russian government officials have relatives who participated in the illegal invasion. Analysts concluded that the Kremlin remains prepared to accept heavy losses provided domestic support holds. The MOD assessed, President Putin and the Russian top leadership are almost certainly willing to tolerate consistently high losses, provided this does not negatively affect public or elite support for the war. Fighting remains intense along several sectors of the 1,000-kilometer front line, particularly around Pokrovsk in Donetsk Oblast, where Russian forces have mounted repeated infantry-led assaults in recent weeks. Ukrainian military sources report that poor winter weather has reduced the effectiveness of drones, allowing Russian troops to mass for attacks at higher cost. Independent casualty verification projects, including those run by Media Zona and BBC Russian, have publicly confirmed more than 150,000 named Russian deaths by late 2025. Western intelligence estimates, which include wounded and missing, place the overall